Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Providence College and our evening with our senior leadership team at PC. My name is Raul Fonts. I am the Associate Vice President and Dean of Admission and Financial Aid here at Providence College, and the proud parent of a class of 2021 senior, and also the parent of an incoming class of 2025 freshmen. So I know where you are, parents. I know what kind of year you've had because I'm doing the same exact things that you are doing. I know the challenges that you've faced, and I want to start off by congratulating you all for navigating what's been a very challenging admission process. Congratulations to your sons and daughters for being admitted to Providence College. It is truly an honor. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited that we've got 5 members of our senior leadership team here, and we're going to have an opportunity for many of you, to ask questions. We have a cross section. We've got basically the entire campus covered tonight, starting with the president of Providence College. I want to introduce Father Kenneth Sicard, the president of Providence College, and I want to turn the program over to him. I will be back to manage the question and answer period. But Father Sicard, the program is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Raul, and good evening, everybody. I'm so happy to be with you tonight. And, my only regret is that we're not doing this in person. It would be so much more fun. We would love you to see our beautiful campus and get a real feel for what Providence College is like. But our goal tonight is to help you see what a very special place Providence College is. And just a little bit about myself. I graduated from PC in 1978, and I was an accounting major. And my years at Providence College back then have served me so well through everything I've done in life. It was a transformative experience for me, and it was just an outstanding time. I'm still friends with many of the people I went to school with roommates, and that's what Providence College is all about. It prepared me so well for life after PC and really helped me to become the person that I've become. I've been at Providence College as a Dominican priest since 1997. I spent 7 years as director of residence life, then 15 years as executive vice president under Father Shanley. And then I was elected president last February and took over on July 1st as president. And as you can imagine, it's been an interesting time to take over as president. It's been a really, really interesting, challenging year in a lot of ways, but very successful in a lot of ways. And one of the earliest decisions that my colleagues and I made back then was that in the fall, we wanted to be open in person. So last fall, in response to the requests from our students and from their parents, students wanted to be here on campus. They wanted to be with their friends and their roommates. They wanted to be in classes with their friends and with their faculty. And that was one of the best decisions that we made. And I think it was such a special year all around for them. Again, there were challenges, but it was a very successful year thanks to the people you see on this screen. And thanks to the resiliency of our students too. They're very, very special. And I guess, your sons and daughters are about to make one of the most important decisions of their life, where to go to college. And I hope they choose Providence College. And I think it'll be a great opportunity, a great choice for them. And I can promise you that they will have a life-changing, transformative experience here at PC. They will grow into the people that God created them to be. They'll grow academically, socially, spiritually, and they will never forget their years here at Providence College. And again, I told you I was an accounting major, but the best part of that was I got an accounting degree from a liberal arts college. And that was such value to me. And that's one of the things that makes PC so very, very special. And I want to leave plenty of time for you to ask questions about things that will happen. But my colleagues and I, one of the things that we've been focusing on most in recent weeks is the decision to be fully open, fully in person in the fall. Our classes are going to be in person, our residence halls are going to be full, and your sons and daughters are going to get the kind of experience that they wanted and have dreamed of for college. And that's again been our major goal, to get ready for them in the fall. And things might look different. They still might be wearing masks, but that's okay. We'll be here together, and we promise you they'll have a wonderful experience here. Now, back in the day, when I was at PC for about a year, one of the best things I did was to hire this next gentleman who's going to talk to you, Steve Sears. Steve is our Vice President and Dean of Students, and he's been at PC almost as long as I have. And he is beloved by our students. He's just so committed to Providence College, and he's just been a wonderful, wonderful colleague, and we're so blessed to have Steve. So Steve, I'll turn it over to you.
Father, thank you for that kind introduction. I think if my colleagues introduced me, it might have been a little bit different, but I appreciate you so very much. Parents, I want to thank you for spending time with us, for thinking of Providence College as your first choice. A little bit about me, my background. I was in the military. I did 4 years of college, got my degree there, got my MBA, and then got my doctorate. I think the most important part about Steve Sears is I can tell you about my track record, but it's better by judging me by what I do. So I do hope you choose us. And if you talk to our students here, ask about me and then see what kind of reactions you get. That's more important to me than anything else. I want to start with you. I normally talk about the students, but they're the most exciting part. But I'll start with you and what you should expect from us in your time here. Many times you hear about the term helicopter parenting, and parents sometimes, I don't want to be a helicopter parent. I don't want to engage too much. I don't want to be over involved. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, as a parent, I want you to be over involved as much as you can. I feel like if we're in the seat together and we're flying this plane, we want to be there for one another. We want to be there together. We want to hear from you. You know your children more than we do. And if you look at my twins, I have twin boys. One, I guarantee you, if I drop him off at college, I won't hear from him for 4 years. The other one will be in my office because he's going to be suspended. So I know, and you know what it takes for your children to succeed here. The other part is, what kind of engagement do we want from you? We want to see you here on the weekends. We want to see you at Mass, which Father Cuddy will talk about. We're hopeful that you go to some Big East tournaments. Hopefully you go to our programs and things like that on the weekends with your sons and your daughters, which is so important that you engage with us just as much as we're engaging with you. Now, with regards to your children, here's the exciting part. Since the very first day that they start here, you can expect there's a sense of belonging, that they're cared for and that they're loved. You'll notice that at PC, our faculty, our staff will know our students by their first name. They'll spend the extra time with them. Our staffs across this campus with the Dominicans, with the student affairs across the board, even with Raul, with Amy Sandberg, you'll hear them talking to students one-on-one, getting to know them personally. We think that's a really important part of their journey, so that way they feel supported, that they have coaches and they have guidance along their way. When they start in orientation, they're going to be challenged. They're going to be challenged to share about themselves, learn more about each other, build relationships right from the very start, engage, build those friendships, because that's another part of their journey here. That sense of having friends and lifelong friendships is so significant in their time here, and that's something that's really important to us. We have over 100 clubs and organizations that your sons and daughters can get engaged in. Campus ministry, which Father Cuddy will talk about, have so many retreats, immersion trips. There's many research opportunities for them, which Sean will talk about a little bit later on. The other part about what you should expect from us is a return on investment, that your sons and daughters will be able to communicate better, articulate themselves, write better. When they speak with you, you'll notice the conversations will change. They're going to challenge you just like they challenge us as they search for their truth. You'll notice with our return on investment, your sons and daughters will know their strengths. They'll know how to network. They'll have internships in their times here. And they'll also have a coach from our career education and professional development that will teach them and guide them along their way. And hopefully a Dominican that will provide them spiritual guidance as well. With regards to other things that we have for them, we have, as Father had mentioned, residence life in the residence halls. We make sure that our roommates do roommate agreements. They learn about each other, what expectations, they communicate well. If you notice, this generation texts a lot. We try to get them to talk more in person versus through texting. And that's really important to us, that those relationships happen. You'll see them meeting together. Today, I had the privilege of looking out on my front lawn, which is Slavin front lawn, is which where the a student center is, and there were hundreds of students out here gathering, having conversations, sitting in Adirondack chairs. Right now, I look outside; they're at our fire tables. My hope is they're having those deep conversations, learning more about each other. Each of our students have a story to tell. If they share those stories with each other, they're going to learn more about each other. They're going to care about each other more, and it's going to be so much more important for them to be as friars in their time here. Also, you should know that our students, we have someone on call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So you know your sons and daughters always have somebody to talk to. We have a personal counselor on call that's on 24 hours a day. We have health services available to them. We have staff members that are available to them if they just want to have a conversation. During their time, they'll be expected to reflect. My hope is that they'll talk more and more to God, ask for what their purpose is, and find out more what their purpose is during their time here, and find their calling. At this time, I'd like to turn it back over to our president, Father Sicard, and I'm hopeful that you'll ask me more questions, but I'm very grateful for your time, and go Friars.
Thank you, Steve. Next colleague that I'd like to introduce is Jackie Peterson. And if you have a chance to review our strategic plan, you'll notice that one of our goals, one of our main objectives in the plan is to become the beloved community that welcomes everyone here. And Jackie has been with us a couple of years now as a special advisor to me, a member of my cabinet, a great colleague, helping us navigate diversity, equity, and inclusion at Providence College, because it's such an important part of our mission and of our Catholic and Dominican identity. And Jackie has been a godsend to us. She's loved by the students and by the faculty and staff. She's a terrific asset at Providence College, and we're so blessed to have her. So Jackie, I'll turn it over to you. You're muted, Jackie.
Again, thank you, Father Sicard, for that warm introduction, and welcome parents and families. I know this is an exciting time for all of you, and granted under some very unusual circumstances, but nonetheless, that doesn't take away the excitement and the pride that I know you're feeling about your sons and daughters and their potential, and hopefully for attending Providence College. So a little bit about me, other than what Father just mentioned. I retired in 2017 after 20 years as Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, Dean Sears' role, at a college kind of, southwest of here, northwest of here, the College of the Holy Cross, where I am currently emerita there. I joined the PC community in 2018 as an educational consultant on diversity. And shortly after that, I took the role of advisor to the president, as Father Sicard has mentioned, and a member of the president's cabinet. So my primary role here at the college is supporting the Catholic Dominican mission by providing leadership and guidance and shaping the goals and the initiatives that build a greater sense of equity. And as Steve talked about, a sense of belonging for our students, for our faculty, and for our staff. And when I think about, as I said, 2017 to now, and I'm still here, and I think about what has kept me here, it is just that sense of belonging and the commitment that the leadership from the president through the cabinet and many members across the college, the faculty, staff, and students, the commitment that they have for building a framework that is sustainable and can operationalize the goals of our PC 200. And goal 2 of that strategic plan is becoming a beloved community. So we're working really hard. I can tell you, across the campus, we're working really hard for folks to come together and decide where are our strengths already existing and where do we have some gaps and how do we take advantage of the opportunities through action and strategy to move the college much more toward becoming and fulfilling that aspiration of a beloved community. So what I like about PC in terms of its leadership and the many members of the campus is I appreciate the acknowledgement that we're good, but we can be better in this area. I appreciate the importance of saying this is just not talk, okay? We have to walk the talk, and that's the action. And I appreciate the fact that from our board of trustees through our president and leadership, I appreciate the fact that people will be held accountable. And those are the triple A's that I think are very important for this mission. So welcome.
Thank you, Jackie. And next, when Dean Sears and I were in residence life, there was a young student named Michael Cuddy back then. And Father Cuddy eventually joined the Dominicans, and one of his first assignments was to serve here as chaplain a few years ago. He is back now at Providence College as the vice president for mission and ministry, also a member of the cabinet and great inspiration, also beloved by our students, our faculty and staff. And he too has been a great colleague to work with. And we spend a lot of time together trying to make PC the kind of place that you as parents would like it to be and our students want it to be. So Father Cuddy.
Thanks, Father Sicard. And I want to note here, right at the very top, that when I entered the Dominicans, it was over your strong objection, in that you thought the Jesuits, the Franciscans, anyone but the Dominicans. So I stuck around just to prove Father Sicard wrong. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to say a few words to you family members of admitted students. In part of this, I'll talk about what I do in a second, but a big part of this for me is the opportunity to share with you as an alumnus of the college. I came to Providence College in the fall of 1994, not having any idea what a transformative and unbelievably wonderful experience my 4 years would be, and what an inconceivable role the college would play in my life in helping me to become who God was asking me to be. Now, I did not come to PC because it was a Catholic school. I had never heard of the Dominicans before. I'm from Braintree, Massachusetts, and to be honest, PC was on the way home from URI as we were off making tours. But I found something on that first visit that that helped me to think, this is a place where I could be happy. This is a place where I could thrive. This is a community that I'll be able to call home. And that intuition that was born of just a simple hour on campus was something that was realized as soon as I moved on campus, and that experience grew more and more over the course of my 4 years. And I realized this is a place where I was learning what it meant to be alive, what it meant to be human. I was, questioning everything and finding good mentors along the way, some companions on the journey in the faculty and staff, and among the Dominicans who could help me to make that journey, to help me to ask questions better and to challenge me and some of my ideas. to the point where I realized my whole life was different. The trajectory of my life, and frankly, the life of my family, was different because of Providence College and the many, many blessings I received along the way. Now all of my roommates are lifelong friends, and we're in touch daily. The Dominicans obviously play a very important role in my life right now. And the thought that one day, when I enter the Dominicans, one day I might be able to go back to this school that was so important, so formative, so joyful for me. I mean, I'd be able to go back and and have that same have a part to play in the same journey of students in a new generation, is actually exactly what's going on now. And the reason I mention that is because I'm a privileged witness to see that what happened in my life at Providence College was not unique to me, to my friends, or to our generation, but it's something that has continued to repeat and play out in subsequent generations to right now, and I'm sure into the future, that this is that same wonderful place that produced such wonderful effects in all of us. And what a joy and privilege it is to be able to serve here now and see the good work that God is doing, and see the creativity and zeal and love that's shown by all of our faculty and staff, helping students to ask and answer those questions, and to discover, as Dr. Sears says, what it is that we're called to do. So very briefly, as Vice President for Mission and Ministry, I help Father Sicard with the cultivation and promotion and unfolding of all things Catholic and Dominican. Of course, ours is a Catholic school run by the Dominican order, and everything that we do, we hope bears that stamp. You can see it on campus when you walk around. You can see it in the classrooms, in the residence halls, but everything we do should reflect that Catholic and Dominican mission and identity. It's important to know that we're not, what we want to do is try to make a proposal to all of the members of the community here. All right, nobody's beating anyone over the head with the Bible or the catechism, but we want to be good companions on this journey for your students and for all members of the community, to be good traveling companions, so that we can help to ask and answer some of those questions that strike to the heart of what it means to be alive. It's been a great joy for me, and I look forward to meeting many of you and your sons and daughters, and all of you, those people who are important to you, as this story of Providence College continues on in the next generation. So I appreciate the time, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Father Cuddy. And last but not least, the newest member of the Friar family, Dr. Sean Reid. Sean is our new provost. Sean began as provost on July 1st, the same day that I began as president. So we've grown into our roles together, I like to think. And Sean has been remarkable, a remarkable colleague and a great leader of our faculty. I think he has been just what we needed at Providence College. He's just been outstanding in his work, working with the faculty again to implement a lot of the new academic initiatives in our strategic plan. And he is totally committed to Providence College, and we are extraordinarily blessed to have you, Sean. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks very much, Father. And I just want to make a note that I did notice Father Cuddy rolling his eyes as you were talking about how well I fit in here, and that's noted. But it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you all for making the time to be here with us tonight. I have a little bit of a different perspective. You heard from my colleagues here talking about, their long, deep commitment and time at Providence College. I've only been here since July. So as a relative outsider, I have a little bit of a different perspective. Like Raul, I am in the same boat as you are right now. I'm the dad of 7 kids. The oldest 5 have been through this process and are either out of college or finishing up. But I have a high school senior as well. And as crazy as the past years have been, and going through this with my older kids, this year with the inability to visit campus to get a true feel for what's going on, the virtual tours, these types of things that seem so impersonal, it's a challenge, and I recognize that, and we're doing our best to try and bring that to you. One of the things that I want to point out is just the nature of this meeting tonight. I'm here with Father Sicard, but also with Father Cuddy and Steve and Jackie. When you look at Providence College, especially with the marketing material, you hear a lot about this concept of the friar family. And as someone that's worked at several different colleges and had 5 different colleges for my 5 oldest kids, you become a very discerning consumer of the advertising that goes along with these colleges. And is it just a tagline? Is it just a brand? And one of the things that I've found, even with the remote and somewhat impersonal nature of the 8 months that I've been here, it is absolutely true. It is the friar family. And even with my colleagues on the call tonight, they're not just my colleagues, they're my brothers and sisters. And you will feel that on the campus. And it's an incredibly supportive and nurturing group. And, as a chief academic officer, and, we're all, with the exception of Father Sicard, we're all equals here as members of the cabinet. But hopefully, as you're looking at it, academics is an important part of what you're looking for in the college. So I'm glad to have the opportunity to clean up here. But I also look at it as you're not just here for the academics, you're here for an education. And so my perspective as a provost is to say, as the chief academic officer of Providence College, your faculty will tell you that they expect you to be in class for your full 17, 18 hours of coursework a week. And we expect you to do 3 hours of homework for every hour you're in class. And we want you to get a good solid 8 hours of sleep every night and eat 3 meals a day. When you add up all those things, there's still 40 hours left over in the week. What are you going to do at that time? And that's where Providence, I think, differentiates itself. And it is, it's not about coming to college to say, what are you going to do when you graduate? It's about coming to college to see who are you going to be when you graduate. And that is the partnership between myself and Jackie and Father Cuddy and Steve to make sure it's a fully educational experience on top of the unbelievable academics and commitment to academic excellence that we have here. I know we want to keep as much time as possible for questions, so I'm happy to address any academic specific questions you might have in the Q&A. But I just for the intro wanted to talk to you that our academic credentials and our commitment to excellence are beyond reproach. Happy to go into any detail on any academic program or specific aspect of the curriculum in the Q&A. But congratulations on your acceptance. Thank you for joining us tonight, and go Friars.
Thank you all. Raul?
Thank you, everyone. I'm amazed. The over/under on getting through 5 speakers in under 30 minutes. I was taking the over, and unfortunately, I lost because Reid just cleaned up perfectly there. I can't thank our panelists enough tonight. They've been wonderful. I hope I hope you understand that we wanted to leave plenty of time for your questions and answers. And I've already seen a question come in that I'd like Father Cuddy to talk about, to discuss, and that is that how do you? The question is, if you are not Catholic, how will you fit in at Providence College? And I think it's a good place for you, Father, to address.
Sure, and I want to make myself available to anybody who's on this session right now for further and deeper correspondence at any time. This is a great question, and one that I'll be happy to talk about all day, but will limit myself to the nature of the event here tonight. Very simply, if you have the majority of students here who come from Catholic families, among that population, you're going to have some who are super devout and some who come from non-practicing families or may not be practicing themselves. And so there's, even though you might come from that environment, that doesn't say anything about how you're going to live out that faith. So every student is going to wind up having a different experience, whether it's, I'm deeply devout and, I'm a daily mass goer, to somebody who might not have any familiarity with the Catholic Church at all. What we want to do is try to provide an environment for every student, no matter who they are, where they're from, what faith they might profess, or none at all, to enter into a great positive, formative relationship with them, so that they can become the people that God has meant them to be. And that is people who are able to look upon their brothers and sisters and see in them people who are worthy of dignity and respect and love, to see themselves as lovable, to see themselves as having a purpose for which they were created and a part to play in the world that's unrepeatable and distinct to themselves. We want to make a proposal, to be clear, we want to make a proposal that living a life in relationship with God brings about joy, not just, we talk about eternal life and all that and the life of heaven, but living a life of union with God brings about happiness in the here and now in a way that can't be duplicated, and it can't be matched. And so we want to make that proposal to every student, no matter who they are, where they're from, in a way that's going to hopefully be, it's going to match where they are in their own journey. And so if a student, is a simple answer, if a student feels out of place because they're not Catholic, or a student feels out of place because they're not, practicing as much as the kid who lives in the next room over, we failed.
Thank you, Father. I appreciate that. Sean, a question for you is in regards to the Western Civ program requirement in the first year. Can you just give a brief overview of Civ and the requirement? And one other footnote, we are getting questions fast and furious. Can I ask our parents, our participants, to please put your questions in the question and answer as opposed to the chat? We're getting them in both locations, and we're going to try to get to as many questions as we possibly can. So Sean, I'll pass it over to you for the Civ question.
Certainly. So the DWC, the Development of Western Civilization, is the central part of our core curriculum. It's also one of the most distinct differentiators of the Providence College education. And, that one of the things as an applicant for this position, looking at it as the provost and saying, oh, that's a pretty narrowly focused core curriculum. How does this work? What I can tell you is it's an interdisciplinary, relying heavily on the humanities, interdisciplinary program that spans 4 semesters. The first three semesters are basically differentiated by the timeline. You start with ancient history, move into early modern, into medieval, and then the final course brings you up to modern times. And then the final course in the curriculum is the colloquium, where you try to pull all those things together. Each one of the sections of DWC are taught by a cadre of faculty that will include history, theology, philosophy, and English. And that it's taught as a team so that you're exposed to all of those humanities disciplines to give you the foundation. Now, you can think about it from a purely academic point of view and say it's developing the core skills that you're going to need for the rest of your courses with the writing and historical context and things like that. Take a step back and look at it, and it is the central piece of a PC education. What that program is doing is teaching you how to think. So it doesn't matter if you come in here because of our fantastic business school, or you want to be an elementary special ed teacher, you know exactly what you want to do after graduation, and you look at that core curriculum as a box that needs to be checked or something that needs to be gotten through so that you can move on to the important things. I would caution you to say that's not how you want to look at DWC. You want to look at DWC as the foundational skills that teach you how to think, how to communicate, how to solve problems. Central piece of this is the Dominican heritage and the reliance on disputation. In a world where arguments are settled by who can scream louder and who can turn away and walk from someone who has a different opinion than them. Being brought up in a 4-semester program that's a shared experience of every Providence College student, knowing that they're in the pursuit of truth, there are going to be different views and different perspectives. And how do you formulate that argument? How do you solve the problem? How do you be adversaries without being adversarial? And really, it's central to everything. And I think the key part of it for me is when you talk to the alumni, doesn't matter if they were a business school graduate that's now working as a CEO of a Fortune 500 firm, or someone like Father Cuddy who's serving as a Dominican. The most important part of their educational experience at PC was DWC.
Thank you, Sean. I truly appreciate you answering that. Steve, we have a question for you in regards to orientation. Will orientation be the traditional orientation? Will there be an in-person orientation? And will course selection happen through orientation? I guess it's a 3-part question, Steve.
So we have our advising days in June, and those will be virtual. And that's how students will meet their advisors and choose their classes. But we have an incredibly robust, long pre-orientation orientation program this year in the fall. And we're doing it because in 2 ways, for our freshmen, our incoming students, and we're also going to do a shorter version for our sophomore students who are unable to participate this year. So in a lot of ways, there's going to be some cross relationships occurring through this process, and we're really, really excited about it. So,
And all in person.
I'm sorry, yes, Father, all in person.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you, Steve. Jackie, there's a question about the percentage of diversity at Providence College. Do you want to tackle that, or do you want me to handle that?
I think you might have at your fingertips.
Sure. From a number standpoint, we're at about 20% non-white currently, and in our strategic plan, we're continuing to grow that population. That's what we want to do. We want to continue to move forward over the next 10 years and grow that population to as much as 25 or 30% of an incoming class. It will take more work than, and we'll continue to work at it. The average class size currently is 20 students, was the second half of the question. The average class size is 20. Generally our classes are not larger than 30 students, except for some of the introductory courses, including Civ. Civ is probably on average the largest class from a lecture standpoint that you will have at Providence. But even with Civ included, the average class size is 20 students. So I just wanted to take care of that question.
Could I just add, another important factor is the importance of growing the faculty of color so that a diverse faculty to be equivalent to the diversity that the college is really trying to accomplish among the students. It's important when students come in from underrepresented groups to know that they can go to a classroom and see, successful people that look like them. So as important as the hard work that you're doing in the area is the work that's happening in academic affairs and DEI to really grow the diversity of the faculty and also the staff.
Thank you so much for adding that, Jackie. Truly appreciate it. Father Sicard and Steve, there's a question about vaccinations and whether vaccinations will be required. Can you handle that, Father?
I can do that. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact, all of the Rhode Island College presidents just met with the Department of Health this afternoon to talk about exactly things like this. And the state of Rhode Island has not yet mandated vaccines for students, but they are certainly encouraging students to be vaccinated. And we're hoping, they keep telling us to be ready to receive vaccines in the near future. So we hope to be able to make available to our current students the opportunity to be vaccinated before they go home for the summer. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Our goal, of course, is to keep all of our students, to keep our community safe. And we will certainly encourage vaccinations. As to whether or not we will mandate them, that is still being discussed now. And we are following the examples of a lot of the other colleges, and certainly we're taking our guidelines from the CDC and the Department of Health. And we've been meeting with them, gosh, every couple of weeks, we meet with them just to make sure that we're doing everything that we can be to keeping our community safe.
Thank you, Father. Appreciate
Welcome.
that. Sean, we have a question about study abroad. Could you give an overview on study abroad and whether students will have the ability to study abroad in the upcoming few years?
Absolutely. So that was, as Raul knows, as a member of my staff, we meet monthly with a student advisory council. And this was one of the questions that came up and ended up taking quite a bit of discussion with that. As you know, last year, the students that were studying abroad last spring were brought home. The students this year that thought they were going to study abroad were not allowed to do so. We have been accepting applications over the course of this spring semester for students to study abroad in the fall. The question came from the Student Advisory Council is, well, if we're studying abroad in the fall, why are we being advised to register for a slate of classes in person here in Providence? And as I explained it to the students, that's your insurance policy. We are right now confident and hopeful that we're going to be able to send students abroad for the fall, but we also don't have a crystal ball, and we don't know what the conditions are going to be in the fall, if that's going to, be realistic. We think right now everything's headed in the right direction, and we are encouraging the students to continue to pursue those and sign up for study abroad. But as I mentioned to one of the students last night, just because the student thinks it's a great idea to study abroad and signs up and registers for the courses where they're ever going, I think that that's going to be an interesting conversation between the student and the parent in early August, whether that's still a good idea based on watching the news. As a parent of a sophomore in college right now, who's also thinking of studying abroad next year, I pushed her to do it in the spring. Number one, I'm not sure how I would feel about it in the fall, but we are making those available. We are anticipating being able to send the students abroad, but we are having contingency plans by having them register for a slate of classes here just in case.
Sean, another question for you in regards to academic advising and helping students who are undecided to select a major.
Yeah, that's a great question. The single biggest major for the entering freshman class is undecided. And as I say at every admission event I've been with Raul, there are some kids that show up and they know they want to be a finance major and they want to get an internship. And then after graduation, they want to work at Goldman Sachs. And if that's what your plan is when you come to Providence College, good for you. That's 17-year-olds aren't supposed to know what they want to do with the rest of their life. And someone that knows that degree of specificity at 17, to me, is kind of scary. The vast majority of students are coming in and they don't know what they want to do, or even the ones that think they know what they want to do, once they get here and they start experiencing the academic offerings, that their minds change. What is it? 80% of students are going to change their major over the course of their college career. And PC is no different from that. We do attract some students that, particularly to some of the majors that are, vocational. So in other words, a biology major that knows they want to go to med school is set on biology. An accountant that knows they want to be a CPA, knows they're an accounting major from day one. But the vast majority of that first and second year experience is helping the student figure it out. If you look at the mission and the Catholic Dominican tradition is about human flourishing, and human flourishing is a part of that is figuring out what path you're going to take. And the advisors know that. Even the major advisors know that students will change. As a finance professor, I can tell you how many sophomores say they want to be a finance major, and I say, well, what do you want to do after graduation? And they have no idea. they saw Wolf of Wall Street and thought, oh, that looks cool, so I'll be a finance major. But that's part of the development. And what I will say is there's tremendous supports for, and I saw the question pop up specifically about the undecided majors.
Right.
There are plenty of resources and events and almost like a career fair type thing, but for the majors and minors to help guide the students for that. And you figure it out as you go along. That's part of the college journey and, key part of it.
Thank you, Sean. That's great. Thank you for clarifying that. Someone is asking me why my two sons have chosen to go to school where I work. And I'd love to answer that question by saying I'm a great dean of admissions and recruiting, but I had nothing to do with their decision to come to Providence College. They're both going to be playing basketball. The oldest is a senior and he's coming back for a 5th year, and they're both going to be walk-ons for the basketball team next year. And I couldn't be more excited. So Ed Cooley deserves all the credit. I just watched them. It's been an incredible experience for my oldest. I hope the youngest follows in his footsteps and has an equally incredible experience. It's what I hope for. I'm very, very blessed, very lucky that I'll get to see them together for 1 year, because they've never been in school together in their lives. So that's going to be wonderful next year. The questions keep on coming in. I appreciate everyone's patience. What percentage of classes, Sean, are taught by clergy or religious professors?
That is one I'm going to have to punt on. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
I'm not
but if
sure
you
I
can
do either.
get an email address, I'm happy to share that. What I can say, and Father would be a better person to talk about it, is even the Dominicans that aren't here in faculty lines teach in different programs. And when I'm walking back from teaching my class, I bump into Dominicans walking out of Ruane all the time. Father Cuddy, do you have any insight on that, or Father Sicard?
I would say when I went through as a student here, I had probably 2 or 3 over the course of my studies, but I studied marketing when I was here. I think the one thing that you could probably expect is an opportunity to get to know a member of the Dominican community, whether it's in the classroom or somebody who's working in campus ministry or somebody who's got an administrative post. All of our residence halls are connected with members of the Dominican community. So, I've got a hall of rowdy freshmen. We can provide resources for them, and I'll get calls from some of my guys who want to come in and talk something through. So there'll be an opportunity for everyone to get to know a Dominican, and there are 40 of us here on campus. Not all as charming as Father Sicard. So there'd be an opportunity, but there's not so many that it would be, the majority of the courses will be taught by a friar.
Can I add one thing to that? 25% of our Dominicans here on campus are under 40 years old.
Wow.
And that is almost unheard of at most Catholic colleges, to have such a robust presence of the religious order that runs the college. And we are really blessed at PC. They are really vibrant, smart guys, and really committed to our students. And it's just such a blessing to be able to be in a community like this. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you, Father. Sean, there's another question. This is an interesting question for you, Sean. Is the faculty prepared for the possibility that students have fallen a bit behind academically due to the last year of remote learning?
Yes, absolutely. And it's interestingly from that student advisory council last night, one of the senior students said think about the next year's sophomores. They got cheated out of the spring of their senior year in high school. And then even though we were in person, it was a very different year, and just was basically cautioning us that when we come back to fully in person, you're really going to have 2 classes of first year students, and be prepared for that. I think everybody is hyper aware of that. Everybody recognizes that as as much as we tried to provide the best possible experience with the courses through Zoom, it's not the same. And the students that are used to rolling over and turning on Zoom and shutting off their camera and listening to the lecture in the background while they eat their oatmeal or watch Sports Center first thing in the morning, that's not going to work for next year. So I think there's going to be some adjustment period that's going to happen for the students and for the faculty, frankly. It's we're excited for the challenge, though. I got to tell you, everybody, students and faculty alike, cannot wait to get back in the classroom.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. Steve, a quick question for you in regards to roommate selection and how that occurs and what the timing of that might be.
Okay, so once you've committed to Providence College, we send out a questionnaire to all the students. I highly suggest that you don't fill it out for them. Let the student fill it out themselves. And what we try to do is match up some things that they have likes. You know, if they study late, they study early in the morning, if they go to bed early, if they're neat, which is important, we found in the past. If they like to listen to loud music, which I highly recommend that they should hit the AirPods in general. But those type of questions are asked. And then we also, if the students allow us, we give the contact information. Many of our students, they're savvy, they'll look on Facebook and other social media accounts, and that's how they somewhat choose their roommates. And many of our roommates are chosen well before they come to Providence College, because we allow our students to choose roommates if they like. They can write another person's name, like I would write Father Sean. I mean, I would write Father Cuddy's name down, and we could be roommates and live together, but I wouldn't write Sean's name down to live with him. So
Dream on.
it works.
Follow-up question, Steve. Can you talk about our placement 6 months out? How are our students doing once they graduate from Providence College is the question. Do you have any of that?
We have a very high placement rate. It's for those who, I want to make it clear when I say this, for those who answer the survey, it's roughly near 87%. We have a good number of students that are, have jobs, full-time jobs, or the ones that aren't are studying or further in study to do something more later on in life. But we feel pretty good about the return on investment, and that our students are getting jobs and internships. And let me tell you something, our alumni, they look forward and can't wait to when we send PC graduates to them. There's so many different companies that you make a phone call. Oh, I went to PC. Every where you're getting transferred to, it's another Providence College student. And let me tell you something else. Every single one of them wants to tell you about their experience at Providence College. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you, Steve. Sean, there's a question about the 4+1 MBA program and the requirements for that program.
Great. So the undergraduate business programs are the main feeders into the MBA program. If you graduate from the accredited undergraduate program, you have preferential screening on into the MBA program. Vast majority of our full-time MBA students were undergraduate business students. One of the things that we're particularly excited about, though, is next year will be the first year of the Master of Science in Business Analytics. There will still be some business students that are feeding into that +1 program, but there's also tremendous interest from math, computer science, psychology, some of healthcare management, from other disciplines outside the School of Business into the MBA program. So the path from undergraduate into the graduate school program is very smooth. My caution for this audience would be, it's a great option as you're comparing schools and looking at which ones have that as a potential pipeline afterwards, but it should not be a primary focus on finding the right undergraduate institution. There's plenty of time to figure out grad school, put your energy into finding the right community if you have your transformational undergraduate experience.
Thank you, Sean. Steve, a question about whether the meningitis vaccine is required or not.
I honestly don't know the answer.
I don't either.
No, I don't. I don't know if anybody else on this does, but I'm really happy I'm happy to get that answer. I'm
Okay.
certain I can actually get it shortly if you want to
We'll
answer
follow
other
up with
questions.
Dina, or we'll follow up with
Kathy.
Elizabeth Murphy asked that question, and we'll try to get that answer for them. Father Cuddy or Father Sicard, would you say the approach to Catholicism at PC aligns with Pope Francis, or is it more conservative?
Well, Father Cuddy, you take that one.
Sure. Yeah, I would say that we're a Catholic school, full stop. We believe what the church believes. We pray the way the church prays. And this is, and if hopefully the Pope does the same. So I'd say we're aligned with this Pope, the Pope before him, the one before that, and the ones to come. Yeah, so I think that's the simplest way of putting it. We're a Catholic college. We don't believe any more. We don't believe any less than what the church professes, teaches about God, the human person, and everything goes along with it.
Thank
I
you.
like to describe us as unapologetically Catholic, and I think it's a healthy, robust, good Catholicism.
Jackie, I have a question for you, and it might be one of our last questions as we're coming up on the 8 o'clock hour. The question is, thank you for the information about diversity of students. In fact, can you speak to how diversity and inclusion is addressed in the curriculum? Are adjustments being made to add more voices such as women and people of color?
Great question.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I would definitely say that is one of the anchors or the pillars that the college is looking at as it looks at this framework. It is the pillar, which is the formal and the informal curricula. We have already had some of the departments within schools begin to do curricula reviews and really looking at the degree to which the authors that they're bringing to the classroom, the examples that they're bringing to the classroom are also inclusive of a broad diversity of identities and perspectives. There are specific, I would call them internal faculty consultants that work as a part of the IDI team and also as a part of Provost Reid's office that are here to help faculty members across the campus who want to really examine their curriculum, examine their book choices and the inclusive pedagogical practices in the classroom. So it's a wonderful question. And I think that the college is making tremendous strides in focusing on this area.
I
So
lied.
about the cluster hire that
Yep.
we just did.
Yes, Sean, did you want to talk about that?
Sure. And what I would say the most encouraging part of that is that the changes that have happened within the DWC curriculum without straying from our roots of it being deeply centered on the development of Western civilization, the development of the Catholic Church, but also being open to including authors from outside of that tradition. If the Dominican educational tradition is the pursuit of truth through disputation, if you're looking at just all the same types of authors, you don't create much opportunity for that. So there is some more inclusive in the DWC, but then also look at the number of minors and majors like women and gender studies, Black studies, Asian studies. One of the things that Father Sicard has really done to boost this year was the partnership with the Black Studies program for our cluster hire program, where we're bringing in 3 brand new faculty who will have joint appointments in both the department, so sociology, foreign languages, and health policy and management, but then also a joint appointment into the Black Studies program to be able to offer, and it's based on student demand for these courses. Those classes fill up quickly, not just with our students of color, but from our students that recognize that they need a broader exposure to these types of things. Bring in the faculty in to provide those courses for them, expand their horizons, and we're optimistic that that's going to continue to grow across the curriculum.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you to all our panelists tonight. It's been an incredible hour plus of questions and answers. Thank you for the over 200 parents and guardians who've stayed on throughout the panel. I have one shameless plug, and that is to encourage your sons and daughters to attend all of our virtual programs that we have designed for them in the month of April. There will be all types of sessions available to them, academic sessions, co-curricular sessions. Please have your sons and daughters look at that. And obviously, there are limited opportunities for you to visit our campus in person. We are having tours of our campus. Virtual programs are wonderful, and I appreciate everyone turning out, but there's no substitute for visiting Providence College and meeting these 5 people in person. There's just no substitute for it. It's a wonderful place. I will have another student here in the fall, and I can't be more excited about that. I thank all of you for turning out. We tried to answer as many questions as we possibly could. And with that, I wish you all a very good night. And remember, go Friars.
Go Friars.
Thank you, everyone.
God
Thanks,
bless.
Father. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.